It's Operation Babble with Myke Shrews. It's pop culture, music, movies, TV too. It's time to explore life. It's Operation Babble time.
Paul Bettany should never be allowed to do an interview again.
Agreed. Oh, shit. This is going to be a fun one. For me, anyways. Welcome back to Operation Babble. I am Myke Shrews with my glasses-less glasses. With me today, I have, again, of course, Tivis. Tivis, say hi.
Howdy.
And then on the other side, if you're watching the video of me, I have our guest returning, Austin Mosher. Austin, how you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing today?
We'll see. We'll see by the end of this. So today we're going to dive into basically WandaVision as a whole, I guess, but the finale we'll focus on as well, since that came to an end abruptly. And we'll talk about that. So I guess I should just get it out of the way and say, full disclosure, I've watched the episode twice now. The first time I watched it, I hated it.
Before he goes any further,
Okay.
we normally talk after each episode. I have purposely not asked him, and I'm pretty sure he has not said anything to me, so I have no idea what's about to be said.
So the first time I watched it, I absolutely just was like, what the fuck? Like, I guess I had my expectations set a little too high. For a finale that was only 40 minutes long with 20 minutes of credits.
Well, that was my biggest, probably my biggest complaint about that is they could have easily made this last episode like an hour and a half long.
Yeah. It should have been its own like movie almost.
Yeah. And I feel like it would have been the better way, because I didn't hate it. Mm-hmm. Like you did. I actually quite enjoyed most of it. I have my grievances, but
yeah,
there was just, I don't know, it just felt like too fast paced. It was too like, okay, now that guy's captured. I'm like, oh,
right,
all right, that was stupid.
It was too fast, but not furious enough for us.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to get out on Front Street. The first time I watched it, I walked away not satisfied at all, especially from the buildup that we had going into it. The previous episode was a lot more of an emotional roller coaster, I feel, for me, than this episode was. It felt like they were trying to force an emotion out of you purposefully, and they were doing it in a very, like,
manipulative.
Yeah. It was, you could tell that they were trying to force the emotion out of you, and it worked because Twitter was flooded with, oh my god, I cried, oh my god. Guys, I usually cry at like some sad shit in movies and stuff. This didn't even get a tear like starting to build up on me, unfortunately.
It made Kevin Smith cry.
Well, everything makes him cry. He could take a poop and look at it and he'd make him cry.
I love that he posts all his cries. I love Kevin Smith, but every time he watches something and cries, he like Instagrams it.
Yeah.
Do you think somebody has a Kevin Smith cry chart?
Oh, I'm sure he has it himself. He probably trolls himself so that he can make more tweets about people trolling him for crying. So I don't know. But I did watch it a second time yesterday, because I wanted to make sure I watched it twice just to make sure it wasn't me watching the episode going in with higher expectations and seeing if the actual story itself was good or for what they did, rather than my high expectations of what I felt that the finale should have been or everything else. And also fuck Paul Bettany, because playing yourself twice in the movie does not count as a guest spot. You asshole.
He tried to walk that back in the episode, the interview he did before this episode aired.
Yeah.
Where he was like, "Oh no, people are going to be so mad at me," and I thought it was just. When I said it, I just thought it was going to be a funny joke. And he tried hard to walk it back to try to lower the expectations, but it was too far gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like at that point, everyone's like, "Oh, is Reed Richards going to show up?" And he's like, they have all these wild fan theories about like the special cameo, and
like
he's
Magneto,
just making a joke about
he's
making a joke about acting with himself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said it on the podcast like a week or two prior. When the information first came out that he wanted to work with another actor they'd never worked with, I was like, I swear to God, if it's him, I'm going to be pissed. Because I was just like, that just seems like something dumb that they would say. Because she also, like, Elizabeth Olsen also said that they were going to do like a Luke Skywalker type appearance in this show, too. I still don't get where she's saying that from. Because in the last season of Mandalorian, of course, the whole world knows, even if you didn't watch it, Luke shows up.
We'll get into it, but I assume it's, actual Vision showing up. Although I wouldn't call that Luke Skywalker level.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So who wants to start? Again, yes, I did watch it a second time, and I found it to be a little better the second time around, but I'm still kind of disappointed with how they handled some of the shit. So,
and this one is the first one with both a mid and end credit scene. So if you missed the second one, go watch it.
Yes.
I liked how they dealt with just the Scarlet Witch in general. I liked finally seeing her in like a more comic accurate costume. And like actually using like Scarlet Witch powers and stuff like that. I liked that part quite a bit.
A cool
her coming into her own, and also showing how much they kind of wasted her in the first like tier of these Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she could have been such a cool addition. And it took 22 movies before they were like, oh, we should like actually make her have powers.
Right. Well, it's a very vital character in the universe too. I mean,
how did they explain it in Winter Soldier? Not Winter Soldier. In Ultron. She's weird.
Yeah. But she's only had, I think someone calculated it was only like 20 minutes of screen time before this show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like she had like. They've done nothing with the character really, and there's so much for that character to do. And I'm glad they're finally getting to it. But like,
it's interesting to see because I enjoy the character in the comics that I've read with the character, and I enjoy the actress who plays her. So for her to get her own show, which is basically just a long form movie, it was nice. And what the show only really took place over the course of a couple weeks, right? Is that what we're supposed to be under the assumption of?
I think it's within a week.
Yeah. So
I don't know. There's a lot in there I didn't like though.
In the final episode or in the whole show?
In the final episode specifically.
Okay.
I liked as a whole thing, like if I sit down and like watched all the episodes in a row, I think I would feel okay. I feel like I would be pretty much satisfied. But some of the stuff in the final episode just irritated me, like how they dealt with Darcy. She was like in it for literally about 5 seconds, just crashing into the car, and it's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so that character literally had nothing to do, and they're like, let's just make her crash into this car.
Yeah,
whatever.
Like, well, we gotta resolve her because she was driving in there, so we need to do something.
I'll be honest, I forgot about her until she came back.
Well, it's because they didn't like say anything about her in the last episode. Like she didn't have anything to do. And I think that was just a waste of a character too, because it's just reduced her to like nothing.
I think I just biased against her.
Same with Jimmy, or is that his name? The FBI
Jimmy
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I hated the whole like him calling the FBI backup story, like little, like where he like maneuvered himself to get the cell phone, and it's like, oh, that is so stupid. That is just lazy.
It's interesting to see, like, okay, he's an FBI agent, we get it, but these are like sword or shield agents and shit like that. It's like they're supposed to be better than like the FBI. Like, how are they not paying attention? And they
just
should probably have like
cell phone and
or block all cell phone communication from within so many miles of that area, so people can't like live stream video of their them out there doing whatever the hell they're doing or anything. Like, our government would freaking do that right now, and they're not advanced like sword. So I don't know.
Yeah. But there was a lot of I also think what's the head of sword's name? I can never remember his name.
Hayward.
Well,
yeah, director Hayward.
He I think was also wasted, because I think there was a lot of build up to his, like, he's a kind of the bad guy of the show in a way, other than Agatha or whatever. But like, he's like the main, and he got foiled so easily. It was so stupid. Like he kind of like finally breached into the hex, and it was over in 2 seconds. It's just like, okay, have the super children disarm the army. They did, and then Darcy crashed into the car. It was like maybe 30 seconds of the episode, and it's like, wow, that was very anticlimactic.
It was a bit disappointing to just see a Thunderbolt Ross knockoff. There wasn't anything else to the character.
Yeah, I kept expecting it to be something else. I was read comments saying like, oh, maybe he's like a scroll or something like that, or like stuff that would make way more compelling TV than what they ended up
doing. I feel a lot of stuff would have made it a little bit more compelling TV than what they did at the last episode. So it still annoys me just thinking back to those first 2 episodes and the black and white ones. I'm like, those were freaking awesome. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was reading comments on social media about people, and they were like, a lot of the viewers were saying like, oh, I hated the first like 3 episodes. I'm glad I waited till this one. And I'm like, man,
because they want the information fed to them. They don't want to have to think.
Well, there's also a lot of people that don't go back and watch black and white because they just consider it old. It's old and bad, which is
it's part of the story.
Not
though.
True.
It builds up. It actually is better than just information dump after information dump every episode afterwards. Yeah, it's. Like, I mean, I get it. Eventually, there was going to have to be like some big information dump and stuff, but it's like after a while, you're like, okay, so every episode is just a new. Oh, this is what we had written on the writer's board in the writing room, and we're just gonna tell you exactly what it all is. So, even though your stories are better than what we actually wrote, so.
Well, I got some questions that go along with that once we get through.
I'm sorry, Tivis. How did you enjoy the episode? Because it's probably different.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
That's it. That's the whole gist. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys want to go through like we have been doing and go scene by scene, or just talk about it the entire time. So I'm kind of refraining.
Well, the beginning just starts where the last episode ended off, of her kids tied up and shit. And then they get into a big, like, witchy fight. Dude, it just seemed like the end of a Marvel movie where, the bad guy has the same powers as the hero, and we're going to have a big CGI fight. And
although I am glad they didn't kill her.
Yeah,
Marvel likes to kill their villains. They didn't kill Agatha.
Yeah,
which leaves the door open for like the stories of her like tutoring Scarlet Witch, because she's kind of like the prisoner, I guess, at the end there. So
Yeah.
So I liked that part where it's like, okay, I really expected this to be another Marvel kills off their interesting bad guy.
I think the reason they didn't go that route is because you're showing the compassion that Wanda has by the end, that she doesn't really mean to cause any harm. So she doesn't want to cause any harm. You know, I mean, she literally gives up her loves of her life, the 3 loves of her life, so everyone else can go back to living somewhat peacefully, if they're not all going to be traumatized from the event anyways. And where's the show that shows how they deal with their trauma? I want to see that show.
And also I didn't actually read the article, but I saw a headline. I think it was from like Screen Rant or something like that, where they were like, did they foreshadow Wanda or the Scarlet Witch being a villain in the MCU? How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about that?
With the end credit scene, is that what we're talking about?
Just in general, you know, like she's kind of a bad guy to the Westview when she's walking out of there. Like, no one likes her.
And Agatha says the Scarlet Witch is a being of chaos who brings destruction, and I think that's pretty much been her, you know. Because, I mean, what we see her, she's part of Hydra. We see her again, she accidentally blows up the Wakandan embassy.
Yeah.
So she's just had a string of bad luck with bad things happening around her. So I think it fits with the lore they have.
Well, they also said she's going to destroy the world, too. So
that's like every other character in this franchise. What were you saying, Austin?
I don't feel like they would use her as a villain. I would say maybe like an anti-hero, but like a villain would be too much because now we've identified too much with her. We've we've realized, you know, you've seen her in Love, and you know, we see, like I feel like to turn her full on villain would be counterintuitive to what they've developed with her as a character.
I think what will happen, because this is Marvel and everyone likes the Scarlet Witch and everything like that, or Elizabeth Olsen, they'll probably have Mordo be like the villain that's chasing her down, trying to kill her because she's too OP, too overpowered with magic and stuff. Mordo, for people that don't remember, he's the guy from Doctor Strange who leaves at the end. I forget who he was played by.
I can look it up real quick. I would be more shocked if it's not the Sorcerer Supreme himself who's coming after her.
Well, that's Doctor Strange. I think he would be going to. I don't know. Because they already said she's more powerful than him anyway. So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, good Lord! Oh,
what?
His name. I'm going to put it in chat and you guys can read it.
Chiwetel Ejiofor? Ejiofor? There's no L there, is there? I don't know.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. Sure.
He's like, sure. Yeah. But he apparently is. Fuck, why did I have to read that? He's going to be in the Multiverse of Madness. Damn.
Well, I mean, I assume they were setting that up at the end of last Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to know.
Yeah. So, and they even mentioned how she's more powerful than. I'm like, this is over the course of a week, and he didn't step in at all. Yet Agatha realized what was going on. This is what kind of bugged me a bit. He noticed Thor and Loki were on Earth in a matter of seconds. So I don't know. The inconsistency with that bothers me.
Yeah. You're talking about in Thor Ragnarok where he just sensed them in the town or whatever. Well, they were also in New York, which is where he's stationed. So maybe that they were closer. I mean, she's in New Jersey, though. So actually, it's not that far. Why didn't he come? What the hell?
Well, that's the thing with almost every standalone Marvel story.
You're always like, why didn't this person?
Why didn't these people come and help this? Like, I mean, it'd be easy to be like, hey, Captain America, you're 2 seconds away. Come help me out here. But
or Iron Man, hey, you can literally be here in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did you fly everywhere?
I can get over because that's what they do in the comics. You know, it's just they kind of just ignore the broader universe.
Eventually, in the
comics,
comics, they have East Coast, West Coast Avengers. So you know, you have your different sections.
Well, what bothers me is we know that this will tie into his stuff, so that just annoys me a little bit. Yeah. I can get over it. It's not a big deal. It didn't ruin it for me, but
yeah.
But when you are dealing with like Wanda essentially created her own little dimension in that town, and you'd think that, you know, like somebody who has possession of the time stone and is his entire being is dealing with like the multiverse and like, you know, dealing with you think he would come and do something, but you know, maybe
he should be able to figure out where she's at all times anyways. Because he knew right where Tony Stark was when he needed to find Tony Stark in Infinity War. So there's no reason why. Maybe he couldn't teleport into her realm, though. Maybe that's the thing.
But how did Agatha? Well,
I don't know if
unless she was just in the area.
How Agatha was there from like the very beginning, because she was in that first episode too as Agnes. Yeah. They never. That's the one thing of all the things they tried to, information dump on us. They never explained how she was there.
She just says that she senses it.
Yeah,
and that was also one of the things I was really kind of not disappointed by, but I was really hoping for was like she had more to do with something there.
Yeah,
because. Even when she was like cutting the strings and the town people started like turning on Wanda and like saying like, oh, let me see my kids and stuff like that. And they were like, I was still under the impression that Agatha was pulling some of those strings. Like when she was like, they're your meat puppets and I'm just cutting the strings. I thought, okay, she's got to be just tricking her to try to get.
Right.
No, but she wasn't.
I didn't get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I still am under. I will have the belief until Marvel proves me wrong. But Ralph Boner is more than just what they say he is. Okay.
Ralph I don't think
Boner.
So.
I don't understand. Okay, so here's why I wonder if he is something else. Is because he has Quicksilver's speed, but he also had like super strength, and I don't understand where that came from, because he just like flicks her away, and she's like Captain Marvel powers almost now. So he had to be very, very strong. So I don't know.
Yeah. That was a weird reveal too, that he was just like an actor. Named
it was
Ralph
just so they
Boner.
could fucking put a penis joke in. I was like, are we seriously just doing a boner joke for this character, for this actor too? I'm like, come on, you guys should utilize him in the future. Even if you don't use him as like Quicksilver, use him somewhere else. Come on, like, he's gonna be MODOK. Watch. No,
I don't know.
I thought Peter Dinklage would have been the great MODOK, but they already used him. So
they could use him again. They've used actors twice.
Well, they're gonna have to, because they got the Deadpool with Cable probably. So there's gonna be a bunch of Thanos jokes in there.
I feel like that it can be justified a little bit better because Thanos doesn't necessarily look like Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
So you can be like, okay, he played both those characters, but it's not necessarily like,
it's just
Josh
like
Brolin looking like Josh Brolin playing two different characters.
Yeah.
Well, he could look different as MODOK too. I mean, MODOK's just a floating giant head.
Yeah.
With appendages.
I don't know. I feel like Peter Dinklage is still too recognizable as of a person, or people are gonna be like, people will be more like, why is this? Oh, this is a different character, you know. So there'll be a little bit of confusion because
I think you get away with it better for like characters like Groot. Like Vin Diesel could show up in his human form and be somebody else. What's the dude who plays Rocket? Bradley Cooper. Yeah, like those guys can come and do something else. So I feel that would be a little easier. Even freaking what's her name? From the Nebula? Is it Nebula?
Oh, Karen Gillian or whatever her name is.
Like even she could be another character later down the road if they wanted to, because she looks completely different than the Nebula's character. So yeah.
You mean she's not actually blue?
Really?
What?
Multiple shades of blue.
Multiple shades of blue.
Did you hear about the deleted scene with Ralph?
No. What's this? They have deleted scenes for this show? Why aren't we not getting them?
Recent interview, Matt Shackman, I think is his name, said they filmed a scene in which Ralph Boner helped Monica and the two kids with stealing the Darkhold from Agatha before being chased by a demonic Senior Scratchy, which is her rabbit. It was filmed but not used, as it was a huge detour in the middle of everything, they said.
Oh, I would have loved that.
I would have liked that too.
It wouldn't have been any less stupid from what they gave us. I'm going to get so much hate for not liking this episode, probably.
No, I don't think you're alone, and that's something I want to get into later.
Even a lot of the critical review I've seen, I haven't read actually any reviews of it, but I've seen headlines, and a lot of people who were reviewing it were saying, well, it's Marvel at its most Marvel. You know, it's like that's
how I feel. And just so people know, like if I say something that a critic or something says, my bad. But I don't read things until I give my opinion out. So it's kind of, if I'm saying something that they say with, maybe people should think that through.
Hold on. This needs to be said. Going back to Tyler Haywood. No, this isn't anything with the show. His stunt double for some of the things he did. Mm-hmm. The guy's name is Remington Steele. Nice.
What stunts did he do?
I don't know. Probably running out of the way.
Oh, yes, the stuntman to stand there.
Maybe getting hit in the car. Maybe that's like the only stunt I could think of.
They said they used him in the Halloween one, but I can't remember.
But what did he do in the Halloween one?
I have no idea.
He just slid outside and watched Vision like start to disintegrate. That's all he did.
I have no idea.
Oh wait, was there fighting between him and the other people? No,
I don't think he was ever in a fight.
Fucking pussy. Yeah, why wasn't they really screwed that character up? They could have done some really cool stuff with that. I would have liked to have seen that, and I would have liked to have seen Nick Fury actually show up instead of just us assume it's Nick Fury.
Well, we had a
it's kind of.
You were kind of right last week. There was a scroll reveal though, but it wasn't a bad scroll.
Yeah.
So
that we know of.
That we know of. Yeah, it's true. But I was really pulling for that theory after you said it. I was like, if Hayward ends up being like an evil scroll, that would be great. That would be a great reason why the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. is such a dick.
And then he could have went through Wanda's little portal thing and turned into a super scroll. Oh, that would have been so cool. Come on, Tivis. Come on. That would have been cooler than what they gave us.
I mean, they could very well still make him a scroll because he didn't die and scrolls only revert to their form.
No, but he got
yeah, he would get
run over by an ice cream truck and then got arrested. So
he can't blow his cover if he's actually like, if it's the actual like Secret Wars type shit. Can't blow his cover just because he gets arrested.
I mean, it may not turn out to be that before anyone gets too excited again.
Right.
It could still happen. Yeah. It's a possibility.
If anything, he could go to prison and like, or on the way there, he just takes the form of one of the guards and then fucks off anyways.
Or turns into a animal.
Yeah. Maybe that's what the rabbit was. Yeah, they never gave us anything with the rabbit either.
No, I was about to say that too. There's like, that's her familiar or whatever you want to call it. But like, literally, it showed up for like 2 scenes and never showed up again. So that's why when you were saying that deleted scene with the demonic Mr. Scratchy or whatever his name was, Senor Scratchy. Sorry, I would have.
Yeah,
I would have ate that shit up.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to see. Wow, we got off. Well, we didn't really get off. We're still talking about it.
We're going character by character this week.
A rabbit hole, you would say.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Michael was looking at me with such disappointment to people who weren't watching us.
All right, so what happened? Where are we? Tivis, you go, because you enjoyed this a lot more than I did.
Did you want to just go character by character, or you want to actually talk about the scenes?
What's the difference? That's all they did.
All right. Well, after we begin, we'll go to the beginning of the episode. You know, she's got the kids in a chokehold with magic.
Hold on. The only thing this was missing was the stupid wipes between the character scenes, like for fucking Star Wars. That's all it was missing.
And then White Vision shows up. Sense. Wanda's like, boy, why do you what the hell?
Yeah, I did enjoy this scene.
And then, he starts attacking her.
I enjoyed that. I was really like, oh, fuck, he's just going to kill her. Awesome.
Because at first he was like, I expected it, but then it's just like, at first he was like, Wanda, and he had his hand kind of caressing her, and then he just started squeezing, and I was like, oh,
Except you hear bones break. They literally give you the bone breaking sound, and then like she's perfectly fine when she the other Vision comes in and knocks him out. But then I'm like, wait.
Her skull is
bones
fractured.
break. Like, I think Marvel just likes to use random sound effects, because they did the same thing in Endgame, where Don Cheadle like made the rope tightening gesture. They actually put in a rope tightening sound effect to like go with his joke. I was like, it wasn't like coming from his mouth, but it was just like, I was like, why are you guys putting in these random ass sound effects? Like, who's in charge of this department?
It's like sitcom sound effects.
But no, if you heard her skull starting to break, and honestly, it is the real Vision, real Vision's body. He should have, like, her skull should have been shattered instantly. Yeah. So we saw him do the same thing to like Ultron heads and stuff like that with one hand, so clearly they didn't want, they were dead.
But then her fake Vision shows up.
He's not fake. He's real.
He's a construct.
He's real. In that world, he's real.
I mean, in this world, they're all real, but
there's gonna be awkward silence. Tivis is like, I don't know what to say.
I'm just gonna move past it.
So when fake Paul Bettany meets real Paul Bettany,
which he said was the most the person he wanted to work with the most,
but that was all just him joking. It was like actual.
He should know better though. With this
I know,
crowd of people, don't say stuff like that. Like,
and if you do, just be like, "Oh, I'm just kidding."
Right. He should see like how people have taken it so seriously on the internet before, without him like saying anything. It's like,
this is why I don't think Marvel actors should be interviewed until after the movies.
Right. Because I don't think Marvel actors should just be interviewed ever. Like, they're going to piss fans off no matter what they say.
It's like every interview, either Tom Holland or Mark Ruffalo are spoiling things, or people are giving up false hints to things that don't ever come to fruition. Like, why are we even still watching these interviews? Why do we even read them? Like, why?
I don't even watch them. I just heard that he said that. And
Yeah,
I was
me
like,
too.
oh, that's so stupid. Yeah. The only thing I'll watch of their interviews are like their bloopers, or like when they, someone asks them really dumb questions and there's like a whole compilation video of it.
Well, and you brought up the Luke Skywalker Mandalorian cameo. It's like there was no teasing of that. Pedro Pascal wasn't on like interviews saying like, oh, there's going to be a big cameo at the end of this one. Pay attention, guys.
They probably would have got their asses fired.
Exactly. So why don't they put the same kind of lid on the Marvel things? Why don't they just let things play out?
I think
if there's a big cameo,
they have like a certain amount of things that Marvel people are allowed to say just to build the hype up, because Marvel fans will instantly grab and make their own theories. But I find that as a detriment to Marvel's, because the fan theories are most of the time a lot better than what they give us, So like Age of Ultron in general, the movie, like I thought it was going to be something way better, way different, way bigger for the world, and it wasn't.
So I was going to save this question until the end, but since we're at this topic already, this was I stole this from Nick Mason. He asked Mr. Sunday, do you think after the reaction to this, will they tell reel in their actors, or will they ramp up the cameos going forward?
They're going to ramp up cameos. They're going to do more cameos.
You both have different answers. This is why I wanted to ask. I wanted your opinions.
I think they're going to have to reel in actors, because I feel like the Luke Skywalker cameo worked so well because you weren't necessarily expecting Luke Skywalker to show up. That worked really well. But if you're like teasing like big cameos, and then you have all the wild fan theories running rampant with like, oh, they're going to introduce Doctor Doom and they're going to introduce whatever, then no matter who it is, fans are going to be, I guess in a way it's going to be both, but like, I feel like they need to reel in actors and then stop giving joke answers to things, because that's just going to make things more disappointing. Because like, yeah, that's a funny joke that he's told, but in the grand scheme of like how it affected people's reaction to the show, I think is a little bit detrimental.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, is so-and-so going to show up? Is this going to happen? Or is this going to happen? And then when it doesn't, it's like, oh, Paul Bettany is just a dick.
Yeah. I agree. They need to either decide how they're how they're gonna do it. If they're just tossing these things out there to see what fans are gonna say, then give the fans some of the shit that they want. Yeah, like give us something that that we're saying. I guess not me. Well, I guess, but like in general, the fan base.
And that's what I think Mandalorian is done very well for its fans. It's giving people something new, but also giving you enough fan service to be like, okay, this is good. It's making,
from what I heard, the whole second season is nothing but fan service for like the animation.
Oh yeah, you
shit.
haven't seen the second season, have you?
No, I don't really care.
It's good. I like it.
No, it's very good.
But
I never watched the animation shit, so I wouldn't get a lot of those though.
I didn't watch any of the animation either.
No.
It's made to reference and appeal to the people who do know it, but also a good entry point to the characters for people who didn't.
Gotcha.
But I also think at this point in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we should be doing a little more fan service stuff, and stop giving us these half-ass that's what I was so excited for about the show, is it felt different. It was a different kind of storytelling than they've ever done at first. Exactly. Yeah. And it was captivating. It was like everything was unfolding at a different pace and in a different way. And then the characters were interesting. And what's real, what's not, and then it kind of ends like a Marvel movie.
Yep.
Which is not necessarily bad. It's just
depends which Marvel movie.
Exactly. It's like when we're just getting big like laser beam fights in the sky. It's just it's not as exciting as
we just now started them, for some of them anyways, to get away from their bad guy in the movie or whatever, from being like exactly the same powers as them, but then we go right back to it. They reverted right back to it. Like with Spider-Man, what was Spider-Man's villain?
They had to do it for expository reasons so she can learn how to do witch stuff.
Yeah.
So they needed Agatha to be like, if you put these ruins, other witches can't use their magic. And then
but that doesn't mean Agatha had to be the big bad for the show.
No, I'm not saying it does, but I'm just like it's the reason why she had to have the same powers. So it's just information dump on Wanda.
The big bad of the show is kind of left up in the air, because is she an antagonist to Wanda? Yes. But I still think Wanda is her own, villain in this.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely revealed that the people, at least of Westview, think of her as a bad guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is weird, too, because, they're looking at her like she's the villain. But they've been seeing and suffering all of her same pain. So they should know where she's coming from if they're suffering her pain at night. Or, that's all they have is her pain and running through their minds.
This goes to a line that kind of bothered me with Monica towards the end of the episode, where she's like, these people will never know what you gave up. But like, what did you take away from them to gain?
Right. When we were watching... I guess it'll be later in the thing, but when she's tearing down the walls of the hex, basically, I was like, why doesn't she just, leave the hex around the house with her kids envisioning it?
That's what I thought.
And then she can come and go as she pleases, and they can just stay in there.
They could leave Agatha as, the nanny.
Right. There you go. And she could still have their kids, but no, they're building up to something a lot bigger for the kids.
Here's something that someone pointed out, because we're jumping all over this episode, people.
Yes, we are.
We're not going to get through it in order. But she left her to be the noisy neighbor. She doesn't technically have a house. That was Ralph's house, and Wanda's house is now gone.
Yeah. It all reverted back to
so where is she gonna live exactly?
Well, it'll just be like she said earlier in the show. She doesn't have a home.
She's just gonna move in with Ralph.
Well, she still has the ruins. The ruins are still gonna be in that basement.
Oh, that's true. Maybe don't put her in that house.
And maybe how did those ruins get there? Like, did she create them there?
Yeah.
What is that? Or were they there before?
Part of the enchantment.
Were they there before, Tivis? They were there before.
Well, no, they
someone else
that
put
one.
them there, Tivis. Shut up.
All right. So you guys are getting through all my questions without me even asking.
You're welcome.
It's because it's a bad episode.
Disagree.
I wouldn't say bad. It's could have been better, I would say.
It does what it's supposed to do for the show. It closes up. It just closes up very quickly and very poorly in some cases.
Yeah, I stand by my statement earlier. If this had been like an hour and a half long episode, I bet it would have been infinitely better of an episode. But they can find themselves to a 45-minute episode.
I did see people online were complaining about how Monica didn't get enough screen time. I'm like, she's like, of course they brought race into it, but I was like, wait, it's not Monica's show. It's literally called WandaVision. Like, she's not going to get the same amount of screen time as Wanda.
And she's going to obviously play heavily into the next Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like they're just
getting rid
doing
of her. And
getting rid of her. They're just setting up the character here.
yeah.
So
they did
she
the
can,
same thing with Black Panther when they have him in Civil War.
Yeah.
Although maybe that's what they mean. Okay,
Well, I think-
maybe
I
I
think
kind of
this-
semi-agree now that I think about it.
I think this series did a really good job of being self-contained. Like, it left a lot of strands, especially with the end credit scenes for, to flow into other things. But as for the story itself,
Yeah.
it begins
but if you
and
just
ends.
watch this by itself, like this is the only thing you watched in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I feel like you could still get something out of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's all in the end. All it is about a woman dealing with her grief, or a person, a human. Doesn't even have to be necessarily a woman, but the person dealing with their grief of loss, and how much it has affected them emotionally. Take away all the magic and stuff. It's still a grief story, and that's the good thing about this is it shows that just. It's the way they execute it sometimes that is done very poorly, unfortunately. But I mean, by the end, you really see, yes, this is a grief story. This isn't supposed to be a big fight story or a big villain story or anything. It's about a person dealing with their grief. And
I think they did that,
I think
particularly well.
Yeah, they did.
Like, and I think even like the goodbye scenes, even though it didn't bring me to Kevin Smith tears, I thought like the goodbyes for everybody were pretty effective, like when she was like, "Thank you for choosing me to be your mom."
Yes.
And the kids go, I'm like, that's sad. And then the we'll say hello again from Vision. Like those are good, like goodbye moments. And they were very affecting, even if I wasn't bawling at them. I think they worked for kind of a closure of this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole family dynamic really came together.
Let me see
I
if
think
I can.
even though these kids didn't exist for very long, they were like 2 days old, pretty much.
Yeah.
I thought it was still a really good a story. You could feel the bond.
Mhm. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed the main story of it, so yeah.
Like I said, I would probably go back and rewatch this show as a whole, like just binge the show. Now that I've seen every episode individually, if I go back and rewatch it, I think I will still very much enjoy the show. I think the ending was fumbled a little bit, but I think it works still as a whole piece of storytelling.
Yeah. I can say I did enjoy it a little bit more my second time around watching it, because I had already, gotten rid of my
Expectations.
They were out the door. This is why I like watching movies I don't know anything about. When I watched Parasite like 2 years ago, I think it was, been now. I didn't know anything about it, so it was like boom.
So this kind of goes into my next couple questions.
Well, hold on. Before you do that,
Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
I'm gonna read this because this is what I texted. It was one day after I watched that episode. One day, so I had watched it at night, went to bed, woke up, and then this is like what I had sent somebody because I knew they wanted to know my opinion. And this is what I told them, and I still hold true to most of it. I said, lackluster, kind of a letdown, but now when you sit back and you think about how most Marvel projects end, but not when you sit back and think about how most Marvel projects end, but just lackluster. But as a whole, the story, it works, and it definitely feels rushed. I was let down, but I know I can't say the word hate. Like most Marvel things, now it had some moments, but really felt like they tried hard to squeeze emotions out of us that were just not there unless you fell into their squeeze trap. Again, this is a text in the episode. Honestly, the episode before had more emotional reach to it, and that's sad because you can tell they tried so hard to tell the audience this is emotional and you need to cry, so you remember this as good as you won't stop watching us. That's it. So
I think I could agree with most of that.
Yeah.
I think that's a eloquent way to put how I felt about it, where it wasn't, I didn't hate it.
Mhm.
I hated aspects of it, but as a whole, I think it worked for what it was doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I should not try and read text on air because, oh my God, when I text, there's no periods. So I'm like, no punctuation. All right, Tivis, what's your questions or statements?
I saw a lot of people, obviously there was fan expectations kind of got all over the damn place with this thing. And there was a lot of bite back because, it's the internet and you can't just have a conversation. You have to be a dick. They're saying, well, maybe you shouldn't make fan theories then if you don't want to be disappointed. Well, first of all, this isn't a question. This is me telling you guys to fuck off. This whole thing was about talking with people and coming up and thinking about it. So what else are you supposed to do?
What their original intention was. It wasn't supposed to be a talking piece, but that's what it turned into. It's what it evolved into. And
well, it was a mystery,
nice.
though.
It was really nice. And
how do you not expect people to talk about the mystery?
Yeah. I really hope that the next one, because Falcon Winter Soldier starts on the 19th, I think, because it comes out the day after the Snyder cut drops. So I hope that one is does the same thing. I would like people to talk about these things because not only is it just talking about comic book movies, but it gets the people that don't necessarily watch other kinds of movies to actually think and discuss these kinds of content.
I don't think that Falcon and Winter Soldier or Loki are going to be in the same vein where it's going to be such a mysterious storytelling.
Right. I think Loki would be closer.
Yeah, Loki might be closer, but
I still don't think it'll be the same.
No,
but they can't really recreate this with really any of the other Marvel characters.
No,
because no one has the ability to alter reality.
But it can still create conversation if their shows are done right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I want them to be able to do with these shows, because there is a niche group of people out there that they don't really talk about movies and stuff because they feel they're going to get attacked, or you have like film Twitter that they only talk about the quote unquote the pretentious stuff. That's not what I'm saying, but that's all they talk about. And then they make fun of people that talk about these comic book movies and shit like that, which is fucked up, because deep down, if you look at a lot of these comic book movies, there are your basic stories in there, and they're just told with flash and stuff like that. So it's nice to have an outlet for people that don't necessarily watch a lot of other content be able to discuss the content that they do love and watch with other like-minded people like themselves.
And I'm a kind of guy that I kind of skirt both of those. Yeah. I like talking about like you said, the quote unquote pretentious stuff. I like the Oscar movies and like the art house art house movies and then I go and I'll talk about WandaVision because I also enjoy that. I enjoy
I told you,
I just enjoy the visual storytelling. So.
Yeah. Well, when I first saw the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, I was like, this is really good. I was like, Austin would love this. This is I was like, and then I hit you up and was like, dude, you need to watch this.
I don't remember if I had at the point that you messaged me, but
you hadn't yet.
I was intending on at that point, but yeah, it was and it is. I like things that are a little bit more. You got to work for it a little bit, It's in
that half an hour extra cut of Robert Pattinson jerking off in Lighthouse.
Yes, you gotta really work for it.
He really worked for that one.
I don't know if this is real or not.
I just like that the knowledge of knowing there's something out there for other people to start discussing, because I have been seeing in the fandoms that it's become a lot of fighting, and to give them something that people can like come together, talk about finally, because Star Wars is a mess. You try and talk to people about Star Wars right now, there's fighting all over the place. Some people love Mandalorian, some people hate it, some people, you know, hate the movies, love the movies, think the original movies are trash, which is stupid. So I don't know. It's nice to see a fandom of, you know, quote unquote geeks, I guess, geek culture, be able to come together and talk about stuff all over the place, just like I can about films everywhere. So
I think that a lot of the infighting has to do with just internet culture in general. The internet culture has become so combative about everything that if you say an opinion about anything, you have 100
you're a
people,
fucking douche. What's
you have
wrong
100
with you?
people backing you up, and you have 100 people saying you're an idiot for thinking that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's like, whatever. If you have an opinion of,
depends which group you're in. You might just have 100 people saying you're an idiot and you'll be
that's
alone.
true. That's true.
Or if you're in the Grinch's cave.
Like I get told I'm an idiot because I like the Batman v Superman. So fuck off. Both of you can fuck off too. I know both of you don't like it. Well, you've never even seen it.
I've never watched it, so I can't say I don't like it. But I fell out of the DC extended universe fairly quickly. I didn't like.
Well, that was the second movie, so it was real quick.
Yeah.
Well, I saw like sporadic other ones too. Like I saw like
Wonder Woman,
Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman. But at that point, I was just like, I don't know. It was just,
BVS is 100 times better than Suicide Squad. Easy. I think even people that hate that movie can say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more competent
Tivis,
piece because it's like, you know, Suicide Squad was interfered with by studio and like altered and re-edited, and so it's like, I understand that Suicide Squad's probably not the great measuring stick for the DC extended universe as a whole, but I also just Zack Snyder doesn't do it for me anymore. Like I'll probably end up seeing the Snyder cut someday, but I'm excited to see his
stuff outside of DC that he's working on now.
Yeah, I'm more excited about his zombie movie than I am the director's cut.
Tivis looks like he wants to die.
I don't know if you just said Suicide Squad was worse than Dawn of Justice, which I heavily disagree with, but
it is.
It's like objectively bad.
That's fine. It didn't make me furious and want to destroy everything in that I love.
It's because you don't pay attention to things like editing and basic filmmaking stuff that they did badly. I've said before, I'm a popcorn movie watcher. I just want to be entertained. Suicide Squad entertained me. Justice League made me regret the person who paid for my ticket because I'm so happy I didn't pay for that piece of shit. Yeah, I still haven't seen Justice League.
I love Justice League.
I was going to say, Justice League was a piece of shit, so you should be like telling them that you want paid for the ticket they paid for.
I don't know. I got the Steelbook on my shelf. I'll be breaking that out next weekend to wash away the bad taste.
Keep it because people are freaking crazy, dude. Like, I own that Justice League movie, and I don't like it, but I'm not going to get rid of it just because the Snyder cut is coming out. The people that are getting rid of that are fucking crazy people. No, this is why we need Marvel to reunite the fans. So
I
bring it back.
I think even like I'd go as far as to say if you hold on to that Justice League, it might even be collectible one day.
The Justice League.
Yeah.
Before we move too far away from
Go
this,
get it autographed by Ray Fisher. He'll autograph anything right now, except for some court documents.
I bet you punch you in the face if you asked him to sign a copy of Justice League at this point.
But a quote, or I can't say it's a quote because I'm gonna probably say it differently, but something that this person, his name is Nicholas Briggs. He's a very high up person at Big Finish and voices the Daleks among other monsters on Doctor Who. He talks about, you know, this kind of divide in fans and stuff and the whole, you know, true fan argument. And he's like, look, people can like and then like cut themselves off of portions of stuff they like, and that's perfectly acceptable. They don't have to venture into that stuff if they don't want to.
Yeah, but they also shouldn't necessarily attack people that do like that stuff.
Well, no.
As a Trekkie, I see it all the time between old Trek and new Trek. And I'm like,
well, we were talking about Star Wars earlier. It's like, if you're a fan of, you know, the original Star Wars and nothing else, that's fine. Don't get mad at them, but also don't get mad at other people for liking the other stuff.
It's literally a part of every fandom. Because I'm a Twin Peaks diehard. Like Twin Peaks is probably the most things I geek out about. Like,
just wait till JJ like reboots it.
Exactly. But like, there, even among the fans, you know, people say like, when David Lynch made the third season, like that third season's trash. Like, the only real Twin Peaks is the first two seasons and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's all good. I mean, it can't be too bad when there's really only 3 seasons in a movie of something, but I love it all. But there's some people who are like, only the first season's good, only like second season's trash, and the third season is just nonsense, blah, blah. And it's like every fandom has their like people who are elitist about something.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing I noticed about with WandaVision discussions anyways, because it was such a mystery. I didn't see a lot of fighting necessarily over it.
Now that it's over, you will.
Now that it's over, you definitely will.
Friggin' open.
Yeah.
Well, it actually started with the penultimate episode because, you know, that line from Vision about how feeling loss is just love enduring or something like that. A lot of people really liked that line, and as they should, because I mean, I've always thought that way, but apparently a lot of people got sick of people liking that line and began attacking that line. So
it's interesting too, because if you think about like the storyline of grief and suffering and being trapped for the other people too, it's like we're in a pandemic. They shot this, they finished this in the pandemic too. This like holds volume to a lot of that stuff that people are feeling right now. Being trapped, being in suffering and shit like that.
Yeah,
in the real world. Like, you know, there's a lot of things you can associate with what's going on now from this show, besides, you know, a witch, unless you count the governments, but we won't talk about that.
Burn the witch.
But yeah, you know, there's a lot of different things, like ways you can look at it, and the people that want to argue about it are probably sad people who have never felt grief, who have never felt loss, or maybe they have and they just didn't give a shit because they're cold at heart.
They didn't process it properly.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's an interesting line. I didn't think about it that way. That's interesting.
What, the pandemic stuff?
Yeah.
See? That's what happens when you just eat popcorn and watch it.
That's why I listen to shows like this.
So they can tell you what to think.
Yeah.
Consume.
One of us.
What is that great Family Guy joke? The old smoking commercial? Smoke.
Dude, so my green screen does this, but it just looks like I'm actually in the WandaVision show when I come back like that.
You're like touching the wall of the hex. Side note, I texted you that picture of like somebody who photoshopped the Vision onto like that famous turtleneck picture of the Rock because of his like turtleneck that he's got on at the end of the episode. I'm upset that you didn't put that as your background.
No.
So we didn't really talk about the two visions too much yet.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I actually want to talk about some of that.
First of all, I thought even though it was a CG mess, that fight was awesome.
Can we talk about this fucking dumbass face right here that's on the screen of White Vision, just like,
This fucking dumbass face.
Well, I'm sure he's going through some kind of very existential crisis.
Well, I actually really liked that, like a kind of philosophical debate, how it ended that fight.
Yeah,
because they're both very cerebral people as opposed to fighters.
Yeah,
although they are powerful fighters. So I like that. Like I don't even remember what the ship of Theseus. Yeah.
It's a real like theory that
they
is
stole
out there.
that from an actual comic. It came out in April of 2017. It was like ripped directly from the comic.
Yeah, but it's also like a real metaphysics
the Vision
thing.
says
like,
that to another Vision is what I'm saying. That scene.
Okay, gotcha.
But I really enjoyed that actually, because if at first they were just fighting and like they were kind of matching each other blow for blow because they're both the Vision in one way or another. And I was like, all right, how is this going to end? And when it was like them just floating in a room having like a philosophical debate, I was like, all right, that's cool. I like that.
I actually enjoyed that scene, besides the dumb face. But because I was like, okay, we're not just going to see two dumb robots fighting each other. Like, I didn't want it to come down to that. And I'm sure there are people out there that are kind of probably pissed off about the wasted of White Vision, because in the comics he's supposed to be completely mind wiped. He doesn't like pick up that personality. So then Vision being our quote unquote fake Vision, Paul Bettany gives Paul Bettany back his memories from being Paul Bettany.
Well, he unlocks them because he didn't have them to begin with. He might have downloaded some of his memories from the bubble into him, so he would live on.
But we also don't know we don't know what happens to him after that. He just is like,
he just fucks off.
He's just like, oh, those are my memories. Bye.
Like your wife is literally like we saw the memories come back from Infinity War too of him dying. So it's not like he doesn't remember Wanda, but it's like now that he just screws off after that scene and we don't see him for the rest of the show. I'm like, why didn't you go help Wanda? Like, what's going on?
That could come into the programming he has, because he says that he's programmed to kill Wanda. So maybe he's going to go work on himself.
Yeah, he got rid of that. He cleanses himself.
All he says is he unlocks the mental blocks with his memories. That's all that is said.
Maybe.
I don't know. I would like to know what happened to him, or if he's going to show up again in like the next Avengers movie or like something.
Maybe he's in some of the other shows.
Maybe.
That'd be fun, actually. See him in Falcon and Winter Soldier for no reason.
Armor Wars. He's made of armor.
I do really want to know what they plan on for him. Just to keep Paul Bettany around in the universe, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
I was about to say just that. I was like, I like that they found a way to successfully kill off Vision, but also still keep Vision in the MCU.
Yeah.
If they use him and use him correct, so he's not gone per se, which I like.
Right.
And I saw an interview with Paul Bettany yesterday saying that he would love to play Vision forever.
Which, I mean,
the paycheck's probably good.
And I mean, they could easily just get a body double and him voice it in the future too. So it's not like he can age out of it.
Vision can create his new body, and then he just goes into that one. It's a different actor, and he just voices the
Get the guy from Agent Carter.
He fucking
I honestly thought they were the same person.
So
did you not know Paul Bettany before he was Vision?
There's a good chance I've seen him, but I never used to pay close attention to actors.
Dude, my first experience with him was I think it's the Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, he was in Knight's Tale. I think the first time I was really aware of Paul Bettany was A Beautiful Mind, where he played like the hallucination of Russell Crowe's best friend.
Breast friend?
Best friend. Breast friend.
Sure.
But I think that was the first time I was aware of Paul Bettany as an actor. And then Knight's Tale around the same time, because I think those are fairly close to each other.
His portrayal in Knight's Tale is freaking awesome, and that's why I was really hoping they were gonna open him up in this show to get that range, because I've seen his range.
Oh, he's a fantastic actor. He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at his list, and I have the first thing I seen him in was his voice in Iron Man. So the first physical would be
Knight's Tale was
Ultron.
before Beautiful Mind, or no, they came out the same year.
I was about to say, I thought they were really close to each other.
Yeah. Wimbledon.
Yeah.
I love Wimbledon.
Wimbledon's good.
Da Vinci Code. I still haven't seen.
I didn't know. Oh, he's one of those. He's one of the guys who beats himself, isn't he? And the Da Vinci Code spoilers.
He was in Solo. God dang it.
Yeah, he's the. You haven't seen Solo?
No, I've seen it. It's
He's
one
the
of my
bad
favorite
guy.
Disney. Is he really? Jesus.
He's the guy who. What's her face is banging on the side now.
Oh! The head of the syndicate. Yeah. Wow.
And then he used to do a bunch of other movies, and before he like ended up falling off the face of the earth, because he did Priest, he did Legion, which came around almost the same time, a couple of years later. Oh, I guess actually those came out after Iron Man, huh?
Legion was before Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Priest was a year later.
Well, I remember him talking in an interview that like his career was basically over with until he got the Jarvis gig, and after that his career went back up high. So I always like hearing stories like that, because the same thing freaking happened for Robert Downey Jr. So.
And but he was in 2003. He was in Dogville, which is a Lars von Trier movie, a really intense movie. I really like that one. I forgot he was in that though.
But he's a great actor. I suggest everyone else go out and watch some more of his stuff that's not Marvel related.
Yeah, if you haven't seen any of his stuff, at least watch like Knight's Tale, Beautiful Mind, are both really good.
Yeah.
Wimbledon's really good.
And that's like it's a romantic film. It's not a comedy. Is it rom-com?
No, it's kind of more of a romantic drama kind of thing. It's a good movie though.
But it's lighthearted, so.
And if you're into some weird shit, you might watch Dogville. Dogville is a little bit more out there as far as storytelling go, but it's a intense, well-made movie.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. I agree. 100. All right. So where do we want to go from here, guys? Talking about
pretty much talked about everyone and everything.
What did you guys think about White Vision before he gets his memories back? Before his eyes turn like this, fucking
normal.
And then he gets a dumb face.
Well, like we said before, I didn't know much about him, so.
Yeah, I didn't know anything.
Well, did you
about
like the appearance? That's what I'm saying.
I did. When he was revealed, man, I'm slurring my words. When he was revealed,
we all drink early too.
I'm not drunk yet. But when he was revealed in the post-credit scene of the last episode, I was really interested in seeing it, because I thought it was going to be more prevalent, I guess,
Yeah.
But I mean, he was in it, but like we were talking about, he just fucks off at the end of the episode. So it's like, oh, all right. So I don't really know what to feel about him, because he's not, I mean, he was kind of, blow for blow, the Vision, when they were fighting, they were just doing like the same things at each other, and none of them are
playing a Mortal Kombat game and you're fighting Scorpion with Scorpion.
Yeah,
just a different color.
Yeah, they just changed the color of Scorpion's like mask
make
or
it like
whatever.
a darker yellow.
And it's like,
instead of
that's the other scorpion.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't interesting. Actually, it was a very boring climax to their fight. Well, they're fighting anyways.
They're fighting.
The conversation was good.
The conversation I liked. So,
which I've actually heard that one before too, so that's kind of cool. I didn't know it was in the comics though. So,
yeah. His appearance kind of reminded me of white Tic Tacs.
Michael's taking a big old chomp of something over there.
But the whole emotionless, I'm sure that added to the oh look, the love of my life is back alive, and oh crap, nope, he's a robot trying to kill me.
Dun 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 dun. Dun. We've seen that movie 100 times.
So I didn't. The fight was cool. I thought they did some cool things with the phasing, and then, like you guys said, how they resolved it is very much in line with the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, to me, it was just an interesting way to get around having the Mind Stone, not having the Mind Stone, I should say.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And like fixing him and all that. So.
Yeah, so it's one of those threads where I'm curious where it's going to go and when it's going to show up again. Because, I mean, unlike other things in this, we know where Monica's going to be. We know where Scarlet Witch is going to end up.
Yeah.
We don't know him. Like, that is the one unknown thing of all the characters. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him or not do with him, I guess. Is he going to be in anything, early on or what?
I feel like this would be a complete waste of time if they don't do anything with him again. I think they'll do something with him. It's a matter of how they deal with it from this point on, because I don't think they would have went through all this trouble of introducing him and having him get his memories as Vision back if they weren't going to do something with him.
Do you think he'll be in the Ironheart show?
I don't know what that is.
With Riri Williams. Is it Riri
she
Williams?
takes over for Tony Stark. No,
she makes her own Iron Man suit in the comics, and then she becomes an apprentice to Tony Stark, and then she eventually takes over as.
Was it after Rhodey died?
I don't recall in the comics. I just remember that
I'm not that far
She's
along.
so smart that she actually built her own Iron Man suit before she met Tony. Unlike Osborn, who had to steal an Iron Man suit to become the Iron Patriot. So let's just say that.
I'm still upset that the copyright wouldn't allow her to be Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like the name Ironheart. It's a little bit more marketable to get kids too. So,
yeah, I'm willing to bet she's connected to the rescue armor with Pepper Potts, but who knows if they'll want Gwyneth back right now.
I hope they don't. I hope that they actually let her develop her own suit. Let the character be a strong character without the help of an adult or a man or, anything like that. It would be nice to do that for once, Marvel, because you keep piggybacking everything else. So who knows?
I would love if they connect it with that kid from Iron Man 3.
Maybe.
I actually read something that there might be something with that kid, but I don't know.
I mean, why else bring him back for a little cameo in Endgame,
Fan service.
Half the fans didn't even know who the fuck he was.
Yeah, when he appeared, the number one Google search was who was the kid at the end of Endgame.
But it's stuff like that's like these people care.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't recognize him because he got older and taller and looks different, it's stuff like that I'm like, yes, please do more like that.
I would like them to explore. What if all the people that came to Earth didn't actually leave Earth after Endgame? Like, where's Howard the Duck? Did he stay around? You know, how are humans dealing with this? You know, these people from other planets on Earth. I would love for them to explore something like that.
We might see some of that in Thor. That's THOUR for the Asgardians who are now living there.
Yeah,
I'm still upset they did nothing with Howard the Duck. He was just a cameo.
I still haven't seen him.
He's just a cameo every time he shows up because he's a cameo in Endgame. But you have to look for him.
I have not seen him yet.
You still haven't seen him in there?
No, I've watched that movie 5 times, and every single time I look for him.
One of the portals, I want to say it's like the third shot coming through, but he's like very small in there. Very, very small.
You didn't see him in the post-credit scene of Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I seen him there and in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
But at Endgame, I know
Green,
he's
right?
there, but I miss him.
He's voiced by Seth Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that'd be a character I wish they would do something with, just because that character is decent. I mean, and did you give him justice for that movie that was made?
I love that movie. I love that movie. Yeah.
I don't think I've made it all the way through it before.
I never watched it until about 2010 or 11, I think was the first time I watched that movie. And I fell in love with it. I loved it. Plus, I mean, you know, she's totally hot in that movie too. So
Bring back George Lucas.
George Lucas was just a producer.
He directed that, didn't he?
I don't think he directed. I think he was just a producer.
No, I think he
Mike's
directed
already
that.
looking up.
I'd bet you money he didn't.
How much?
$20. $20 says he did not direct that movie.
Okay. Howard the Duck was directed by a guy named Willard Huyck.
Yuck. You owe me $20, Mike.
I didn't say, yeah, I bet you $20. But yeah,
Semantics.
Leah Thompson in that movie is so hot, man. So, yeah. Speaking of, what did everyone think of Scarlett's suit?
Oh, the costume.
The suit was great. I thought they did a good job of making it look like the comics, but also not like is
updating it.
Yeah, like she looked really good in it too. So I was like, I was really a big fan of what they did with it.
And I don't know, like, if it was the makeup or what they did, but she didn't look like in any other movie. They probably would have made her look very evil or menacing or you know strong. She just looked like a housewife wearing the suit, and it was really cute. I was like, dude, babe. I looked at Nikki. I was like, can we get that for you?
Did she say yes?
Curl your hair, and that's a private conversation. But yeah, I actually did not hate that. I know a lot of people did not like it, unfortunately.
Really?
I'm guessing,
everything I've seen about it, people have really liked it.
Yeah,
I loved how they teased its appearance with the crown kind of forming with magic on her head early on in the episode.
Yeah.
And then just the full outfit. I'm like, oh, and then we see the image of her. It's like clearly what she sees in the mind gem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is worrisome. So. We'll see.
That's another thread that they have. I know John, for instance, and other people will be thinking that it's just something they forgot or neglected with how Pietro got his powers. But I think they purposely left that open to be defined later on, since we already know they have some kind of mutant project in the works.
Yeah, I mean, I think it got announced that they're planning on reboot. Oh, it was a rumor. I don't know if it was officially announced, but they're going to reboot X-Men as something called The Mutants.
Which could just be a working title.
It's because they can't use the word men. The last X-Men movie, they even said that. So, which, I mean, that actually dates back to very historical shit. So, I mean, if you take that out, I don't know. But, I mean, if they're not also dealing with the X-Men, if they're just dealing with mutants, then it doesn't matter. You know, if we're not dealing with the X-Men team, who cares what you call it, you know? Call it X-Force. I mean, they're literally going to do the Deadpool shit, and they had X-Force with that, so
they had X-Force, and then it was a joke.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was making fun of it in that movie, but like, if they wanted to do another movie or something about the mutants, because do we really need another X-Men movie? Like, honestly.
I think we need to let it rest for a little while. I think I would be open to more X-Men movies, but I just wanted to let it sit and like, because they beat poor Hugh Jackman to a pulp. They beat that whole like reboot franchise. Like by the end of it, when we got like the
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix for the second time.
The Dark Phoenix storyline again. And also it was bad. Like, I'm just like, we just need to let X-Men rest for a while. I'm more interested in them doing something with Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Than I am with them doing anything with the X-Men. Like, I'd rather.
Honestly, the Fantastic Four can fit into what universe we have built already a lot easier anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
The X-Men stuff or the mutant stuff, they really need to think about it because they screwed their shot, you know, with the WandaVision stuff would have been a perfect. I mean, they still could utilize her to have mutants later down the road.
Yeah, they definitely left that door open.
They definitely left it open.
The way I would probably see them doing something with mutants is after multiverse.
Yeah.
Because then you can make the argument like in this universe, they're not heroes, they're mutants or whatever. So you can kind of play that. That's why they haven't shown up to this point.
That's how she gets her kids. Let there be mutants. And
exactly.
Now her kids are in her universe and shit like that. So.
Exactly. So I think that would be like the best way to do it. But like I said, I'm more interested in finally getting some good Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Because
that last one,
we haven't had a good one yet.
I enjoyed those first two. I know they're not.
The first two were best, good because of when they were made. I feel they fit in better with the comic book movies of their time. Because what we had like Daredevil, Elektra, shit like that.
Ghost
Rider, X-Men. So I feel those ones fit in a little bit better for their time. But that last one, oof. They made Doctor Doom into a fucking computer hacker, guys. What the fuck? I'm sorry, but what the hell?
I think that's on
the Josh Trank one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's on Disney Plus now.
Yes, it is.
Why would anyone subject themselves to that movie though?
I actually own it, so eventually I will watch it. But
do you guys think Marvel's going to release WandaVision on DVD, Blu-ray?
I hope so.
For
I
the
looked
collectors?
into. You guys said The Mandalorian got released in a previous Operation Babble. I looked.
Yes.
It got released in one country in Europe.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they aren't doing all that then.
I know
feel like a lot of streaming service that make streaming service exclusive content don't want people to do something that isn't on the streaming service because otherwise the streaming service isn't getting those views.
Well, that's not true because
Stranger Things.
Netflix does all their originals now.
But like
they do wait a long time.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about after last week's cast, Myke and I sat here talked for like 2 hours after that. And we were talking about how like you can't buy a Blu-ray or DVD of that Shia LaBeouf movie Honey Boy, which was an Amazon Like there's like unofficial like other country version that you can buy, but I looked it up, but I was like, is there going to be a release? And there's no information on whether or not they're going to release it on physical media, which I think is dumb.
Right.
Because as you can see here, I love physical media.
Yeah. I feel that eventually that's my worry, is that we won't have, DVDs to go and just grab from a shelf and play with, and well, not play with, but watch and utilize whenever we want. Especially like, what happens if my power goes out? I only have a generator that can power my TV and my DVD player. Can't power my router too. Or what if I run out of internet for the year?
Well, and that's, with a large portion of the US even doesn't have good internet, and people for some reason don't know that's.
When I first moved into my apartment, I didn't have internet for like a month, and I just lived off of my DVDs. I watched like some TV shows that I had on DVD. I watched movies. Yeah. And I was saving money at the time because, I wasn't paying my monthly internet bill, and everyone's like, "Oh, how are you surviving without internet?" I couldn't survive without internet. I'm like, well, I use my phone for any like social media, which I can use my mobile data. And then I have like over 1,500 DVDs and TV shows that I can like watch for whatever.
You can also stream from your phone to TVs nowadays too, people. So exactly.
It's like I mean, I'm set. I don't need the internet for my and that's what everyone's getting mad about. Like, oh, this is getting removed from services or whatever. It's like, just go buy a DVD. Then it doesn't matter.
Well, a lot of them too, like when Disney bought the Fox stuff, they stopped distribution of a lot of the Fox movies, and because they want them only on their streaming services, or they want to go through and edit them to say, oh, you can't say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. You're gonna say yippee-ki-yay, ucker. And that's it. So it worries me because what happens with their original not original content, but the movies that Disney does start putting out, like all their new Avenger movies from now on moving forward, do they just go to their streaming service and VODs, or do we actually get a chance to buy it on Blu-ray later down the road? To people like me, where I started buying every single one just because of I wanted the collection of them. I wanted to own them. I want to own each individual one. I mean, I just showed you guys earlier before we started, I went and bought the Bewitched TV show finally, because box sets are a thing now. They weren't in 1999 WandaVision, but I don't know. It's one of those slopes that you gotta worry about when you're just talking about streaming services. Everyone's like, oh, streaming services are great because they offer me this content. I'm like, yeah, but you have to have one for every studio of film that you want to watch. It's crazy.
Yeah. Until they start doing some kind of bundle or something, it's not.
Which then you're just paying cable. That's just cable. Exactly.
And at this point, it's just like, I don't know. I have like the minimal services that I needed, and I'm not looking. That's why I'm not gonna get HBO Max and stuff like that, because I'm like,
I would get HBO Max because they have the Criterion on there, don't they? I haven't gotten it yet, so
I have the Criterion Channel service. Okay. So like, I don't need, and I buy Criterion DVDs.
Right. So, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, I know HBO Max for what you get out of it, it seems like they have a lot more to offer than like a Disney Plus, where it says Disney Plus, but I'm like, not all of Disney's stuff is on here, guys. Like, and I'm not talking like, oh, the what was it, the Song of the South or whatever. I don't give a fuck about that shit. I'm talking like all their cartoons. They've cut a lot of cartoons off of there. They don't have everything that Disney has made on there. I'm like,
and some of that is by design because they want new content.
Yeah,
new.
Well, I mean, they should have like it by the decades, Disney by the decades section or something. So you can go through and look at the stuff from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 90s, shit like that. Because they have it branched off into Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, or whatever else there is. I don't know.
That's about it. Marvel,
ESPN
Star
is
Wars,
still its
National
own.
Geographic. That's the 3 categories they have on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and they don't even have like a lot of Marvel stuff even that I want to watch. Like all the Marvel cartoons and stuff. So
I mean, they have the ones that I'd be interested in watching. They have
Pixar. Pixar's another one.
Oh yeah, Pixar. But I like the old 90s like Spider-Man cartoon. That's actually where I fell in love with Spider-Man is through that cartoon. Like I said, I was never a big comic book reader as a kid. I've read comic books, but I'm not like you guys who have read multiple eras. And like I have like my exposure to most comic book content came through like the 90s cartoons, like the X-Men 90s show and Spider-Man, and
which is interesting because in the 90s, like, so I would read the comics, and the comics got me into, of course, the cartoons, but I really didn't care for the cartoons as much as I cared for the toys. So it was the comics and the toys is all I really cared about. I mean, the X-Men cartoon, I remember. Like, everyone knows that fucking theme. Like, even if you didn't watch it, you probably know it, just from like a sibling watching or something in the background. But do I remember episodes? No, I don't remember none of that stuff from there. So
I remember certain episodes of it.
I remember more of Gargoyles than I do of X-Men.
I loved Gargoyles. And Gargoyles was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
I want to go back and rewatch Gargoyles because I feel it was more mature than I was at the time for me to understand everything going on in it, because it was a more mature show for its time, I feel. For being on Fox Kids, I think it was. So,
I got introduced to it through the cartoons as well. I actually didn't get into comics until freshman year of high school when a buddy of mine bought me Marvel Zombies. And I'm like, oh, okay. I love zombies. Which I know of these characters.
They pay tribute to that one in Spider-Man, which I fucking loved.
I don't know. I'm a very ADD person. I feel like my brain does well with more like visual medium when it has to do with like reading, even when it's a comic book, which is more visual than like reading a book. I'm like, I still can't pay attention as much. I know it's weird. It's like comic books aren't that much of an attention like hog, but like I like just watching a cartoon and be like, I get that. But like if I'm reading it, I get bored.
It depends on the comic. Because I don't read like a lot of the Ninja Turtle comics, but if there's a good one out there that gets me, then I'm reading all of the issues. I don't read a whole lot of Marvel anymore or anything like that, just because there's so many storylines to try and keep up with, and I don't want to try and figure it out.
Yeah, I got I got the unlimited, so I've just been reading off there.
Yeah,
man, I gotta tell you,
my brother had Marvel Unlimited, and he was reading stuff there for a while. And I actually took a class in college that actually was called American Superheroes. And it was all about like, it was pretty much like an English lit class, but for comic books. So it was like analyzing like the arc of the American comic book superhero. Oh,
cool.
And like, but it was coming from a very literary standpoint. So it wasn't like it wasn't an easy class. Yeah. Honestly, like the professor of it he was a film professor of mine, but he's a very smart, English minded professor. Even though he was a film professor, he was the one that pretty much taught me how to analyze films like critically.
Yeah.
And he was doing the same thing with comic books, and it was a very interesting class. And I wrote a really good paper for my final paper. So, have
you ever one I think that you might enjoy reading if you ever did I think it was Deadpool Kills
the Marvel Universe?
No, it was when he went through and was like killing like Moby Dick and shit. He was going through the literary pieces.
Yeah.
Really
that
cool.
was weird.
Because what was it? Deadpool Kills Literature, maybe it was.
I think that might be it. I'll look it up.
Deadpool Killustrated or something, 4-book series. That's what it's called. And he goes through and he's like, he throws a cartoon like fucking bomb into Moby Dick's like blowhole, and he goes through and there's another one where he's with Huckleberry Finn, and I forget the other ones, but I found that to be awesome. Because they were taken off of the idea of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, where he's jumping through and just killing everybody.
Mm-mm.
And because eventually he went through and killed the literary characters too, but then eventually he killed the people who wrote his comic too. Like, I love Deadpool's comics because they take it to the like extreme out there. So he basically killed the people who created him because he was tired of being around.
I have actually read a few Deadpool comics. I have a book of like I think it's just called Deadpool Classic. It's like the early stages, like the early comics. And so I've read that. I've read a lot of the Alan Moore stuff, like Watchmen, V for Vendetta, stuff like that.
Watchmen's nice because it's one book.
Exactly.
It's not like 500 books, and then you got to worry, am I in the right? Is this issue 5 of this one here, or is it issue 5 of this series?
They have
here?
gone back to add in some prequel comics, but they're really not needed unless you really want to.
Yeah.
So I've read comics, and like I said, I don't hate comics or anything like that, but it's just not my medium. But people like know a whole lot more about lore of things because they're like, oh, I've read this series since I was 7. Like, dude, I was never a comic book kid. So
I've read multiple stuff. There was a version of Superman that I had read when I was a kid in the 90s, and nobody else read that Superman that I talked to about it. I'm like, do you remember when like Superman was completely blue, but then there was another Superman that was completely red, and they were both in the same issue? They're like, what are you talking about? I was like, see, so not everybody even knows the shit that you read sometimes. And even me reading comics, I still don't know everything. And I don't want to, because especially when it comes to the movie stuff, it takes away, I want to still be surprised and shit. So
that's one of the best things about where I am, because I'm in like 2004 to 2006 with the DC and Marvel. So I'm so far behind. A lot of the stuff is pulling from newer stuff.
Yeah. And the nice thing too, like I love watching Umbrella Academy on Netflix. I've never even knew it was a comic until that came out. But then I went and read
My Chemical Romance guy, right?
Yeah, they were.
I went and read one issue, and I was like, yeah, I'm not reading this shit. It's like the show's so much more entertaining than the comic. So, and the same thing I've heard with The Boys. Like, I've never read The Boys comics, but
I didn't know The Boys was actually based on anything. Yeah, I thought that was like an original.
No.
Wow,
most of the superhero looking type shows that Seth Rogen does is an adaptation from something.
Oh, of course, Garth Ennis. Yeah, it's a Garth Ennis production. That makes sense.
I did not know that had source material.
Yep. It doesn't go with the source material as well as...
No, deviate a lot.
Yeah. Several characters are actually switched to, and yeah, it's...
And I also haven't ever watched... I haven't watched The Boys at all yet, so...
Oh, okay. It should. We got Tivis to watch the first season. I don't know if he watched the second season, but he was just
I still got 2 episodes left of season 1.
He's just like, what the fuck?
It's a bit dark for me.
Oh yeah.
But I the way I always saw The Boys is kind of like Watchmen esque off. It's kind of like superheroes doing bad shit.
It's kind of like taking the Justice League and making them bad people. Like not bad heroes, but bad people.
Yeah.
Like in behind closed doors and shit like that. Like you're just a bad person. Like you're not a bad hero because you still do good, but you're a bad person. There's one comic I heard about on Kevin Smith podcast that I really want to check out. I forget what it's called, but just the description of it was really cool. It was like these heroes are it's a new comic too. But the heroes are like they're everywhere. Everyone loves them and this and that. Then they kill somebody and on accident or something and try and cover it up. But then they like wake up the next day or something and nobody knows who they are anymore. They're not heroes anymore and shit like that. So they're like half of them are just trying to live their new life without being known. And then the other parts are like, well, I have these powers, so I'm going to use them to do something like stupid, like robbing banks or some shit like that. So it's very interesting. A lot more interesting than what I just said about it. But yeah. So
there's one that I like called Irredeemable, and there's thousands of evil Superman type stories out there, but this one kind of stands out to me because it's basically like he snaps. It just he snaps from having to hide his identity to holding back to being an alien on a planet. He's the only one of his kind. His name is Plutonian. And it's just he just goes insane. And there's an awesome spin-off called Incorruptible or something like that, where his greatest villain is like, well, guess I got to be a good guy now.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
There was a comic that I really enjoyed reading.
Wait, wasn't that Megamind? Didn't they do that in Megamind? That's Megamind. Okay, go on.
There was a comic I enjoyed reading. It was a one that I actually read in that superheroes class that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. But it was really I'd never heard of it before that. But it was pretty good. It's called God and Science: Return of the Tie Girls.
I'm not familiar.
Probably, and not a lot of people are, but like it was a pretty good read. It's just like a one. If you can buy it in just like a 1 volume thing, and it's just a kind of a standalone. But it's pretty good. I would recommend that to people if they want it. It's not based on anything. It's not like a Marvel or DC. It's just its own. Mm. Yeah, it's written by a guy named like Jaime Hernandez. But
I started reading this comic called Bitch Planet. It's written by a bunch of feminists and it's fucking awesome.
Well, in a way, this is kind of a similar, I'm guessing, thing. It's I don't want to say it's feminist or because that'll turn some people off. I'm just guessing, but like, it is an all female, like kind of team kind of story, but they're not like your traditional female superheroes. It's good though. I think people would enjoy it if you haven't read it.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'm trying to find it, and I'm coming up with stuff that are not comics.
Look up God and Science: Return of the Tie Girls. It's TIGIRLS.
There it is. I played a big gamble searching something with Tie Girl in the title.
Wow, I didn't realize there were so many issues of Bitch Planet out. Damn.
Okay. Yeah. That's in my reading list now.
All right. Well, that took a turn.
Yeah, we got way off topic.
So,
well, I mean, we were pretty much done with WandaVision at that point anyway. So we were just kind of went down whatever.
So we're good with Wanda. Tivis, you had a couple extra things, right? That you wanted to bring up about the end
we didn't
credits,
really talk
right?
about the end credit scene.
Or which one?
Well, the mid credit we touched on with the Skrull and Monica, but the end credit with Wanda.
I didn't really get what was happening in that last one.
She just loves being in sweatpants. I'll tell you, this had to be the easiest gig for her because she wore sweatpants a lot in this show.
I guess it was to kind of demonstrate her ability more. She was astral projecting herself reading the Darkhold, which
I understood, but I just didn't really understand what I was supposed to feel for that. Was I supposed to be scared? Was I supposed to be like, I didn't really know what the goal of it was.
The nice thing about that is something like it's showing her powers because she is astral projecting herself while she's reading that, but her body is actually doing other things.
Yeah, and when Doctor Strange does it, he's slumped over, with a hurt neck when he comes back.
Right. Those people never are able to continue doing something while they're astral projecting. So
we get a little subtle music, which I didn't catch because I'm sorry, the Marvel themes aren't exactly memorable. But it is a light, like very subtle version of Doctor Strange's theme playing in the background.
Okay.
And
which leads into his movie.
And then, we hear her kids crying out for her. And then it kind of just ends. But anyone who has, followed a lot of the MCU side projects knows that reading the Darkhold is not a good idea. Bad things happen all the time with that book.
But I don't know. I'm curious what they're going to do, honestly. They're making it seem like they're going to make her bad, but they've been lackluster on all we're going to do this, but actually it's this. So I don't know. I don't have my hopes too high for it.
Maybe they'll make it look like she's bad, but I don't think they're going to go full bad guy with her. It's like you said, they do half measures a lot. They'll push something in and then they'll pull it back and be like, this is the real bad guy. This was
Yeah. And we don't know what all she actually took from Agatha too. So maybe Agatha had a little bit of Mephisto in there, and now Mephisto's getting all up in her. So, and yes, that was supposed to sound sexual as hell.
I'm just shaking my head at the Mephisto reference. I'm so over that.
I think it'd be cool if there was something in there, because Sam Raimi is doing the Multiverse of Madness movie. If anybody can do like demonic and evil justice, he's gonna be the guy.
And for every news outlet who is saying Bruce Campbell being in it is breaking news, it's Sam Raimi.
He's in everything.
It's like the same people.
Literally in every Sam Raimi movie.
Ooh, he'd like, make a good MODOK. Ooh, the guy
like
with
the people
chin?
pointing out that one of the subtle hints that Agatha was a witch was she dressed like a witch at Halloween.
I wish everyone could have just seen Tivis's eyes grow out of his head when he said that. He's like, the fuck? Yeah, no, that was duh. And it really wasn't subtle.
No, it's not subtle at all.
No.
And her reaction wasn't subtle either. So, I mean, yeah.
One of the last things I wanted to touch on was that the Darkhold now looks different, which, I mean, whoopee, they changed
where
prop.
we've seen it before. We've also seen it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It first appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4.
And we've seen it
with
in
Ghost Rider.
Another show that I haven't watched yet.
Appears again in Runaways, which I won't talk anything about that since Myke hasn't seen it. And each time it appears, it looks different. Like they've changed the cover, but now the inside is completely different, and people are freaking out saying, "Oh, it proves that the old shows aren't canon anymore." No, it's a magic book. They changed the prop. Big deal. They also rewrote Wanda's origin. Does that, make Age of Ultron
They've
not
also
count?
changed Nick Fury's scar 5 billion times.
Yeah, it's this whole debate with if the old shows are canon or not is getting real old real quick.
Well, I will say to this, I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is both canon, and then it leaves. I fucking hate that word canon. Oh, canon is a military instrument, people.
Well, that's with two ends.
But anyways, I agree that that show is canon, but then after the season where Coulson dies, the last season,
Which one?
The last season right before Infinity War should have been the ending of that. After that, the 2 seasons after are not canon to that universe. They're still multiverse, I guess, but not canon to that universe because they completely don't even touch on the snap, and the one season when they come back is only a year difference. They could have totally fixed it and been like 5 years later. Instead, they put 1 year later.
Which, again, it's one of those things like the comics not referencing each other and stuff. It's something that doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Well, when they reference Infinity War in the season prior with clips from Infinity War, you kind of gotta, figure your shit out properly. Talk to some people. The whole division between the studio and the TV studio was stupid, and they never should have tried it in the first place. If they weren't going to work together, they shouldn't have tried that. Well,
that was Ike and Kevin feuding. They were originally working together until
also I don't
weren't.
count Inhumans. Inhumans is not canon either. Because otherwise, they should have fucking been at the Endgame fight because he could have blasted them all away with talking.
Oh, all of the Defenders, all of that could have been there, but,
What's Iron Fist going to do? Oh, I'm too rich to do anything.
He can punch.
Punch a light. He's not cool without freaking Cage anyways. Anyway, well, is that the argument that people are having right now?
Yeah, because the prop changed, it throws everything else out the window.
Gotcha. What do you think about that, Austin? As a film person,
I have no opinion because I haven't seen any of the other shows, so I don't know.
That's completely fine. That's what they're designed. They're just extra stuff. Like if you want more, they're there, but they're not required. That was the original concept for these shows.
So I watched like the first season of Daredevil when it was on Netflix, and I think that was the last like Marvel show. I tried Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it first came out, and I hated it.
It was bad when it first dropped, yeah.
And so it took till the very end of the season.
So I didn't ever get into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But yeah, that's about my extent of my Marvel TV shows is like half the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the first season of Daredevil, which I really liked. And now those are just like kind of, I don't know what those are considered. But so I don't really have opinions on what canon and what's not because I don't care.
I guess we'll know if, it doesn't really matter unless the studio says so, honestly. Yeah, but I think
as I said earlier, we get to pick and choose as we, whatever you're happy with, go with that.
I think we'll know if those Netflix things are canon or not later down the road when they finally just cast those people into something else.
I heard that what's his name is coming back as Punisher.
Oh,
Bernthal?
Yeah, John Bernthal.
I wouldn't be shocked.
So that would at least open it up, and I think Kevin Feige or somebody said that he'd be open to bringing those characters back in some capacity, just not as a TV show.
Yeah.
So
which it makes sense because it's freaking Daredevil, and I mean,
and you've already established them, so you just have to like just bring them back. And like I know Vincent D'Onofrio has been very outspoken about wanting to do Kingpin. For the DCEU. I mean DC, Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU.
Damn, people are gonna hate you now. That's
all right.
Austin Mosher.
You know what? I would be okay with that. Let's throw Kingpin into DC. That would be weird.
No.
Why not?
Only if Snyder directs it. How about that?
Snyder can fuck off. I would recommend Agent Carter to try for you. It's different and a lot of people like it. I didn't really care for it too much, but
and that's clearly
it's
canon.
At least worth a try. And I would recommend for everyone to try the last one that has been forgotten, Hellstrom. Like that, if you want some dark, creepy stuff, watch this show. It's actually good.
And if you want some bad TV, watch Inhumans on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah.
Fuck that show.
I remember when I forget what I was seeing. I think it might have been when I saw like one of the Christopher Nolan movies or something like that. When I saw him in IMAX, and there was a trailer before the movie. I think it was maybe when I saw Dunkirk. I think, and then the trailer before the movie for Inhumans, and I was like, wow, that looks really bad. Like not that the show itself looks like a bad show, but it just looks bad. Why are they putting that in IMAX theaters?
I feel so bad for anyone who paid, because those beginning 2 episodes are easily the worst of the entire season.
I don't know that I watched the Caravan of Garbage episodes about that, and none of it looked good.
None of it is good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't get much better, but
Tivis, stop. You don't have to be nice to everything. It's
I'm
just
not being
bad.
nice. I'm being
You're
honest.
like, it doesn't get much better, but it gets a little better. No, it does
I
not.
was invested. That's the only reason I stuck around.
I think you might be the only person who was invested by that show.
They took a great actor and fucking hell. At least he's got his own Star Trek show coming out, so good for him. Yeah. Final thoughts on WandaVision. I wasn't satisfied by the finale. Will I rewatch the entire show? Probably before Multiverse of Madness. So just to see if anything pops up in there. But I'm not gonna rush out to rewatch it.
I liked it.
Fuck fake Pietro.
There were like I said, there was a few things I was very disappointed in. How they tied up some of the biggest questions or more interesting characters of the show. They didn't do a great job at, but I think they did an adequate job of tying up the whole story.
Yes,
as a thing. So I will definitely rewatch it especially before
Doctor
Strange 2. I'll definitely watch it before that, just to get caught up on things. But it's fine. It was a good way to spend 9-10 weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Is anyone else wondering though if this show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and the Loki show are all going to lead into Multiverse of Madness?
I'm not sure.
I doubt Falcon and Cap will.
But Loki definitely should.
It might. It'd be an interesting way to bring Hiddleston back to their,
universe.
The prime.
And he would still
timeline.
be a dick. He'd still be Dick Loki. He wouldn't be like, you're my best brother, Loki. Unless they do some weird shit like they did in the CW and give him his memories back from that universe into this universe. So, fuck you guys too.
I think that only works with Vision because he's part machine.
Yeah. Well, he's also not in a different universe. The CW really didn't think that one through. They're literally different human beings. There's no hidden memories. Fucking hell, don't get me started on that. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay. Anyways, that was fun. I look forward to seeing the Snyder Cut in theaters for 4 hours on the 18th. Everybody go see it in your local theaters or on HBO Max.
Or save your money.
And 4 hours.
I need a 4-hour break. That's why I'm going to
There are
the
better ways to
theaters.
spend 4 hours, I bet.
Nah.
Watching the paint dry.
Let's see. Snyder Cut or sex? I can do both at the same time. HBO
Not in
Max,
a
thank
theater.
you.
Let's be real, Mike. 4 hours is a bit much for
You're
sex.
right. I need a little bit more.
I do hope they upload that intermission with the soundtrack, because as much as I don't like these films, the music is always way better in the DC movies.
I'm like, and as much as I like shitting on Zack Snyder and the Snyder Cut, I probably will end up seeing the Snyder Cut if I can get a chance to go see it in theaters, just because the opportunity to see something new in theaters hasn't really been there for a year. So like,
Yeah.
I'll probably go see it, but
You guys have theaters opened up for you guys now?
yeah, we can go to theaters.
Yeah.
Just
I don't-
nothing's
There's
in
nothing
them.
there.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
don't think they closed for very long here.
No. Okay.
No, I mean they opened to, and they were starting to they played like old classic movies.
Yep.
Mhm.
So like I would go and see stuff from like the 70s and 80s. Like I saw like the Thing around John Carpenter's The Thing around Halloween, and
Ooh, that's
4th of July. I saw Born on the 4th of July, the Oliver Stone movie, and so I know they were doing stuff like that. They were playing older stuff, but it was like limited capacity, social distancing,
Yeah.
whatever. So it was,
Gotcha.
and to be fair, a lot of them haven't had to do a whole lot of enforcing that because so few people have been going. Until recent, more and more are going because they figured out they're empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know now HBO's got all their movies coming in. I think Tom and Jerry's in theaters too. You got Kong vs. Godzilla, which should bring in some people.
Tom and Jerry is actually doing pretty well in theaters. For
That's what I heard.
I saw the box office report for like last week or something. It was like the biggest week of the box office since like pre-pandemic, which isn't saying a whole lot because most of those numbers are like nothing.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
But
I'm just glad I got to see Birds of Prey in theaters before everything went to hell.
Impractical Jokers.
And Impractical Jokers. I think Bloodshot was the last thing I saw before everything closed down.
I still got to watch that.
And then the only thing I've seen since open back up in theaters has been Wonder Woman. So,
that's disappointing.
yeah. You have no idea. I need another good
seen
one.
the movie, but I've seen enough about the movie where I can say I have an idea. But the last thing I saw in theaters before shutdown was actually the original 1940s King Kong movie.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
My dad and I went and saw it because the Cinemark theaters do the what were they called? They would show like old classic films and stuff like that for like anniversaries and stuff. That I forget what the series was called, but there was a series of them, and I got tickets like a couple months before King Kong came out because I was like, oh hell yeah, see the original King Kong in theaters would be sweet. But it was literally like the week before our theaters shut down. And so there was like maybe 2 or 3 other people besides my dad and myself in the theater. And then it was like after that things started getting pulled, and then they just shut the theaters down.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I've been wanting to actually rent a theater here because you can rent it for like $100 if with a maximum, I think 25 people, I believe. So I'm like, if I just had 25 friends that lived near me, I would get it and just like have a bunch of movies just playing. Last thing I want to toss out there, I did watch a movie. It's called I Care a Lot with Peter Dinklage. This movie is awesome. I recommend it to everybody. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original, and it's a crime thriller, I guess, is what it's considered here on IMDb. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Like I said on social media, and like I said to the guys when I texted them the other day, it's got lesbians, midgets, violence, crazy old ladies. It's like the WWE or F in the 90s. So I'm sure Vince McMahon is very pissed off about that. He couldn't market his stuff right, and they could. So yeah, definitely go watch. Oh, I'm sorry. Dwarfism, not midgets. I can't use that word. But I did. So what?
Canceled.
Hashtag canceled. You can't cancel me. I run this show.
Self-canceled.
Yeah, we need him.
All right, guys. Austin, you want to shill anything? Shill your stuff again.
Yeah. Like last week. I'm doing the weekly live stream with my friend at my friend's recording studio. We do hour-long live stream concerts of local Toledo area, mostly musicians, but we get some from Michigan and some travel in from other places, but mostly from the Toledo area. But like a lot of people during this pandemic, a lot of musicians were struggling because they weren't able to play. So we gave them an outlet, and it's been going really well. So if you want to check us out there, we stream live every Thursday, 7:00 Eastern time. You can find us on Facebook. Just look for Bigfoot Studios. Same with Bigfoot Studios on YouTube, and Bigfoot, I think, _ Studios on Twitch. So and we have a Patreon up there too. If you want to look up that, donate if you feel up to it. We'd greatly appreciate that. And
awesome.
Yeah.
And then we will put the link in the description, guys, so everyone has the links to all those things, including the Patreon. And speaking of, because I totally forgot that today, you can
I thought you were waiting until the end.
Yeah, we're way off the end. So, you can catch us on everything at Facebook, Twitter, through Operation Babble, on YouTube at the Myke Shrews YouTube channel at the moment. And then you can find some extra content on Patreon at patreon.com/operationbabble. And you can also email us if you want to just chit chat or try and come on to the show if you have something you want to talk about. If you hate what we said, or you agree with what we said, or you just want to fight or not, I don't care. You can email us at operationbabble@outlook.com to come on to the show, or just DM us on Twitter or Facebook, whichever one. Tivis, is that it? Did I do it all right? Did I shill properly? Oh, I guess so. Buy a t-shirt, teespring.com/operationbabble. I think that's the right one. Links all in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe today. Thumbs up. Also, if you want to comment, please do. Even if you hate on this, I always tell everybody I love hate comments or good comments. So just do it. I like it. I like to know when people are actually listening, even if you hate me. Also, Marvel Zombies. All right, Tivis, you got anything extra for me today?
I don't want to talk on this, but I will name 3 other twists from other Marvel movies that vary in degree.
Okay.
The Hulk appearing in Thor Ragnarok. No big bads in Civil War. the Tesseract in the first Avenger.
I don't think that the twist of the
I
Hulk
don't know.
in Ragnarok.
I said I wasn't going to talk about this.
The Hulk of twist in Ragnarok isn't really a twist. They gave it away in the trailer.
That's the point.
And there was a big bad in Civil War. It was what's his name? Zemo.
Yeah, he just wasn't like powerful. He was
But
just normal
they led
human.
you the entire movie to think it was 3 more super soldiers who were then killed.
No. They led you to believe he was going to bring back the super soldiers.
Yeah.
You're wrong, Tivis. Just accept it.
And
No.
I would say the government was the big bad in there. They arrested half of the people, the Avengers. Just saying.
The government's the big bad in life too. So
art imitating life. Also, big tech like Tony Stark. Come on, he's a big bad right there.
Tony Stark is just Elon Musk with a suit.
I said I didn't want to discuss these.
What was the other one? The Tesseract and what?
First Avenger. It's in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. They use the Tesseract at the end of the movie to bring in the guys. It's not really an Easter egg either. That's the plot of the movie.
No, but no one expected it to be in there, and comic nerds freaked out.
Yes, they did, because they saw Loki looking at it in the ghost realm in an end credit scene. Did people really freak out about that? Y'all need to pay attention better if you did. Tivis, I love you. All right, Austin, thank you for joining us today.
No problem, man.
No time.
What, you got anything else, Tivis?
Nope.
Anything else we can just shit on before we get out of here?
All right, Tivis, what did you think?
I liked it.
He says with such pain. All right, my quote today is from WandaVision, episode 9, from the Vision. I have been a voice with no body, a body but not human, and now a memory made real. Who knows what I might be next?
Good line.
Peace.
Later.
You just finished another great episode of Operation Babble. You can catch every episode of Operation Babble on all your audio streaming services, including SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, and more. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Operation Babble, and join the conversation today by searching for the Operation Babble group on Facebook. Links also in the description. Thanks, and have a great day.